Welcome to More Than a Budget, a podcast presented by Relational Media. Co-founders Jeff Fine-Thomas, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and John Mitchell, a certified financial planner, combine the fields of psychology and personal finance to help couples improve their relationships and discover what is more important than money.
Welcome back. This is Jeff.
And I'm John.
Today we're talking about gratitude.
Gratitude is in the attitude? The attitude of gratitude?
Yes, that one. You're heading toward dad jokes right there, I think.
Sorry, I've been dadding a little.
Have you? Well, hopefully your kids enjoy the jokes. They can be grateful. Or not. So I want to talk about gratitude today. I mean, I don't feel like this is a subject that's really new to anyone. I feel like Oprah made this, sort of a big deal 15 or 20 years ago. But it seems like it's worth repeating.
Okay.
The subject of gratitude.
Yeah.
I think, in my work, one of the things that happens commonly is that a couple will come to my office. Of course, something's wrong in their relationship. And one of the things that is noticed or noticeable is that they pay attention to all of the things that have gone wrong. All of the things. Sometimes they will have a list of all the things that have gone wrong.
So you mean the whole, we have nothing in common anymore, all we do is fight, there's never a peaceful moment in the house.
Yes,
I don't even know this person anymore.
Yes,
all that
and plus all the specifics that go with that too. My husband is X, Y, and Z bad, or my wife is, A, B, and C bad, or she always does this, or he always does that, or he never does this, or whatever. I mean, it's just like sometimes they are excruciatingly long and painful lists of things.
Ow.
And one of the things that I notice is that it squeezes out anything that the other partner might do that you might feel grateful for. Mm-hmm. You just stop noticing those things.
You said something in a previous episode, or at least in a discussion that we had before a previous episode, that I thought was kind of interesting. I always hear the complaint of, as couples get older, because I work with a lot of retirees and pre-retirees, and I'll hear comments that sound like, well, in fact, one of my favorite comments that I tell to ladies who are dealing with the idea of their husband coming home and being home all the time after retirement is retirement is twice the husband and half the money.
I've never heard that before. That's really funny.
But what I hear from people is I don't know that we have as much in common as we used to. We've kind of all we've each had our different lives. And that's a little bit of kind of what you're saying. But the idea that you shared was that couples have a lot more in common than they think. It's just that the points of friction are the things that we see and feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you've had a lot of points of friction, they crowd out everything else. So the joy, the fun, the happiness, the play, the gratitude, they all get squished out if you have a lot of friction points. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to sort of notice that phenomenon, because probably even if the marriage is not going well, there's something your partner does that you actually feel grateful for. Mm-hmm. They do something. It's not like it's a very rare circumstance in which, the instance is they do nothing good.
So if we were to call gratitude medicine, what does this medicine do?
Well, I think one of the effects of that medicine is that it gives you, or the person receiving the gratitude, it gives them a sense of being valuable. A simple thing. Thanks for taking out the trash. We might think of this as a point of politeness, or, something
it's your job.
It's your job. It's not a big deal. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, even the smallest of things. Hey, I appreciate you making dinner tonight. Hey, I appreciate you getting the kids in the bathtub. Whatever it is, whatever the mundane, routine things of every day that you do, that you express some gratitude for, it's a comment on your value.
Mm-hmm. When we were getting ready for this, you were kind of talking about a couple of different kinds of gratitude. Kind of the social gratitude is what I was thinking of at first.
Yeah.
I open a door for somebody walking into a coffee shop, or, somebody's wanting to merge, into my lane, and I let them in.
Yeah.
Those are just kind of trying to be a halfway decent person, right?
Yeah, you're being polite.
Being polite. But you're talking about gratitude that goes beyond just saying something polite, right?
Yeah, I am. Although I appreciate the politeness too.
Sure.
When I hold a door open for someone and they say thank you, is it the biggest thing in my day? No.
Mm-hmm.
Do I forget about that interchange, 10 minutes later? Yes. But in that small moment, it's something.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I pay attention to. But you're right. I am pointing at something around being genuine, because in a relationship, if you're doing things in just a perfunctory way, if you're just being polite, and you're not being genuine, then that could be problematic.
I think of the way this could very easily come about. I'm no social scientist, obviously, but I think of, in many relationships, in many marriages, we have division of labor.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
This guy does this and this gal does this. And we get to the point where they become so expected that they don't count. I'm doing my part, and maybe he or she is or isn't doing all of her part. And it's kind of like we're doing some basic math where all of these things cancel on each side of the equation. They've got to get done, but nobody takes a moment to express appreciation because, well, I'm doing my part too.
Yes, right. Like, this is just your part. You should just do it without me saying anything. That's what you were alluding to before. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's bad.
It's not great. It's not great. I think in a happy, whatever a happy relationship is, in a happy relationship, routine things happen all the time. And it's not like you're going to be making a list of all the things that your partner does all day long that are in routine and that you want to give gratitude for. You maybe want to pick out the important ones to you in that day. But I do think that it's important that we not fall into the trap that just because we do a routine means that we ought not to give gratitude or wish for gratitude in our relationship.
We're talking about an idea of actually finding some joy in the things that we are accomplishing together.
Yes.
And maybe taking out the trash sounds perfunctory. It's going to stink if you don't. Maybe mowing the grass seems obvious. Maybe keeping the house or going to the grocery store seems required. But when those are activities that are actually supporting the success of a couple or a family, we can appreciate. I mean, think about, you want your kids to help with the chores. Try doing it without ever telling them you appreciate that they're helping out. See how much
that
harder
goes.
that makes your task.
Yeah.
We know that we need to do that with the kids. Hey, let's do a little bit of praise when they do the thing that we want.
Especially maybe a teenager, you're going to hear the resentment when you don't express a little gratitude for their work.
So why isn't that still true as adults? I mean, why can't we express some joy and appreciation in the fact that somebody's doing something that needs to get done that we didn't need to do?
I mean, there are 1,000 reasons why couples might be in trouble and unable to do that. And of course, our listeners are not my patient or your client, and it's hard to speculate on specifics. But I think the point is, when resentments build up for whatever reason, they block out our wish to do something intentional to express our appreciation for the other person's value in our life.
So speaking of values,
Yes.
You might say, what in the world does gratitude have to do with financial issues? It has a lot.
Tell us.
So, you're talking about, maybe, saying thanks for this, that, or the other chore or task that's getting done at home. But what about all the financial things that are happening in your household that are supporting the core values that you have as a family? There is a lot that we choose to do together, even if that's saving money to pay for a vacation, putting money away for retirement, making an extra mortgage payment to get the mortgage paid off sooner. These are all financial decisions that we're making to try to advance our cause. These are all things that we can show gratitude for.
For sure. And being intentional about supporting your partner doing those things is incredibly important.
Jeff, I think of momentum. You can have momentum going the wrong way, and you can have momentum going the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me in what we've talked about that gratitude is one of those things that you can actually build positive momentum with.
Yes, I agree.
So, when we're thinking about a couple who is trying to change their financial circumstances, and it could be non-financial, but I'm the finance guy, so we're going to talk about that. But if you think about a family that's trying to improve their financial circumstances, I think this idea of, showing gratitude for both spouses that, are putting in time at work to bring home their paycheck, instead of saying, well, that's a given, go, you know what? You're getting up early. I'm getting up early. We're trying to make this work. I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Yeah. I think, we talked about it before, elevating the mundane is a part of that.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Taking the things, the small everyday things, the going to work, the coming home, the making of the meals, the putting the kids to bed, the paying the bills, whatever those things are, the things that are not glamorous, they're not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes they're maybe not even a big deal. They're so small. And saying, I see that you did this, taking it to that next level, making it something that's important to comment about and saying that you feel grateful for it, it can make a difference in your relationship.
This morning, it was very cold, 17 degrees when I got up this morning.
Yeah.
And I went to my sock drawer, and there was a really nice pair of wool socks there for me to put on.
Yes.
And I was very grateful that those were in my drawer, and I'm not the one that put them there. And you might call that mundane, but, my wife fought the dryer in the universe to find 2 socks that matched.
Yeah.
Put them in my drawer.
Right.
And I could take a stance of entitlement to that. I could, be oblivious to it and just expect it. Or I can say, man, I really appreciate the fact that you're doing this for us.
Yeah, she made an effort.
And that, in the first thing in the morning, has the opportunity to start the day out in pretty good shape.
Good way. I think another thing that we can do to try to help grow some gratitude is, make a list of things your partner does for you regularly. And that you don't regularly express gratitude for.
Appreciation for, sure.
And then start.
Mm-hmm.
Having something be noticed that your partner doesn't think you noticed, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It counts. It's a small point that counts.
Do you think, a lot of times in a couple, and this could be financial or otherwise, one partner is ready to change the existing circumstances before the other one is?
I mean, it depends on the couple, but I think that happens often.
Do you think that gratitude from the partner who's ready to see some change is helpful to the partner who is not yet seeing it?
No doubt. I also think an open conversation about, what's going on there might help too.
Yeah. But I think, you can create new cultures at home.
Yeah.
You know, you can say, hey, we're going to try to have a few more meals at home, or we're going to have a family game night, or we're going to fill in the blank.
Yeah.
You can start new cultures at home.
Yeah. And this is what this is, right?
Exactly. Is we are going to start appreciating the things that each other does. And I want to go back to core values on this because, you know, we can appreciate what each other does and have a happier home life, right? We can have a more enjoyable home time. But does that mean that we're accomplishing what we really want to accomplish as a couple? You and I talk a lot about establishing that third page and those core values that you want to pursue as a family, those things you deeply want to accomplish in the next 10 or 20 years. Mm-hmm. You know, what happens when you start showing gratitude for the things that your partner does that is in alignment with accomplishing those core values?
Yeah.
All of a sudden it becomes this thing that I hope that my couples are fighting for, which is what I call a virtuous cycle. I got a little bit of it and I liked it. I want more.
I keep going.
And I want to keep going. And we're doing it together. And we realize that we both really appreciate and need the activities and the input of the other person. And the more appreciation we get for it, the more we recognize, the more we feel obligated to participate ourselves. Mm-hmm. Granted, we're all not perfect and we're going to make mistakes and we're going to get overlooked and we're going to overlook. But this is directional and I think beneficial.
So to our listeners out there, if you haven't said something that express some gratitude to your partner today, go do it right now.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a like, comment, or review. And tell your friends. New episodes drop weekly. Learn more about Jeff and John at relational-media.com.